Where do you think it goes? Have you ever like try to extrapolate? Do you ever try to like look at it like from where we're standing now with the Chat GPT influence, the AI influence, all this different stuff, all the deep fakes? Do you ever wonder like how does this play out?
I think that it's similar to what you were saying before. Just like the transparency is just increasing so drastic. Even just thinking about how transparent everything is now compared to 20 years ago, and what we're seeing play out real time. I mean, we're seeing Seymour Hersh, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, at war with the New York Times over Nord Stream right now. And that's just happening in front of us. Like
Right.
the US government is denying that we did Nord Stream. Seymour Hersh thinks otherwise. And, that is just,
What does the New York Times take on it?
oh man, if we can bring this up, I don't want to abuse James' powers, but they on Easter, their post of the Nord Stream situation was so egregious. They said it may be best that the truth is not revealed about this. Like it's,
Why?
I mean, because they probably think nuclear warfare is on the table. It would be a false flag. Look at this.
Suspicions multiply as Nord Stream sabotage remains unsolved. Intelligence leaks surrounding the sabotage of the pipelines have provided more questions than answers. It may be in no one's interest to reveal more. What? That's wild. I mean, you literally are in the business of revealing more. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing. If the United States government is engaging in something that is potentially dangerous to the human civilization, because we can start a fucking nuclear war because of this, if you don't report on that, that's going to allow more of that shit to take place.
I can't believe those words were printed and they're still there. Like how can that be where we're at? In terms of where it's going, like honestly, I think that we are on the precipice of a whole new paradigm and level of access to information that is just going to be like a total shift in humanity. I think we're getting closer. And I mean that with regards to classified information coming out, corporate secret information coming out. It's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening. What we're seeing from the Twitter files, which Elon just did. He became a whistleblower on himself.
Yeah.
And I mean, the amount of information that gave us, and they were denying it for years and gaslighting everybody. It's so egregious and dark.
It's so dark, and they don't have any punishment on the table, which is really crazy. When you saw Vidya like testifying, and she had to kind of admit things that they've said in the past that were not true, it's really fascinating to watch that, because the ramifications of that, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous to limit the truth and deny the truth. And when you're something like a social media network that is basically the town square for the world, and you're doing that, and you're doing that based on your ideology, and you're doing that based on input from intelligence communities,
it's social engineering.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It is their guide. They want to guide us in this particular way.
Yes.
And because they don't think we can handle it.
Right.
Which maybe we can't. I don't know. I mean, if the truth about all of the deep corruption came out to the extent that is real, I mean, it could cause wars. It could, but at the same time, I actually don't think that. I think that ultimately, the best thing for, America is for transparency to kind of happen and for us to fix it.
The problem is the idea is that we're in competition with China, and China does not allow that. So we will hinder ourselves in our ability to compete with them. That's the argument. And it's not a good argument, right? Because this country has a very robust belief in free speech. It's one of the reasons why, dissent is tolerated. It's one of the reasons why we can get away with what we get away with. It's like we have protection in this country, and it's really the only country that has that. And the idea that in order to compete with China, we have to become China is fucking gross.
It's not true, I don't think.
I don't think it is
I
either.
think the competition that we have because of free enterprise, free speech, like the reason we have the best businesses in the world is because of that.
Yes.
It wouldn't be allowed to happen in other countries. They just scoop them up and then,
Right.
you know, distort the vision. So
Which stifles
it's a
innovation.
national security risk to not be transparent with the American people. You know, all this banning crypto, Restrict Act, all of this stuff is devastating for innovation. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the edge of innovation. So,
Right.
I mean, yeah, these lawmakers don't understand the technology. It's hard to understand.
It's hard
To
to
be
understand
fair,
it.
yeah.
They don't even care to understand it. They're not even reading the stuff. They're just saying whatever they think their constituents want to hear, or whatever the public narrative is, or whatever the government is pushing, and they just sort of like pile on and repeat the propaganda.